Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2 finale, S.O.S. I literally just finished this episode less than 30 seconds ago, so the very end scene is still like very fresh in my mind, but I'll definitely save that for the end because I don't know what the heck that's going to mean for Season 3, but this was an amazing finale. It was like I love the finale for Season 1, but this was leagues beyond that. And there were some great moments that, as many times as they said closure, there were some great moments of closure in this episode, and there were some great moments leading into the next season. New members that may or may not be coming in as far as the Inhumans. New aspects, kind of the ending scene is one of those new aspects, and what's going to be happening with this great device that was really only hinted at in this season that the Inhumans were kind of looking for is this mystical device, and it's just a thing. Like, we don't really know what it is. So that's going to be a big focus next season. The team dynamic is still going to be a huge focus next season. With it growing and having different members and like May temporarily leaving, I'm sure she's not just going to be gone. But there was so much stuff that happened in this finale. Even if it was split up into two, it would be a great last two episodes. But I was so glad that they did a 2-hour finale, just because a 2-hour finale is always really awesome. It's just like watching a movie. So I loved it from beginning to end. I thought it was amazing. I think the action in it was really cool. Without a doubt, one of the best action scenes for sure was S.H.I.E.L.D. versus the woman who could basically clone herself. And I love the way they did that. They had like the slow motion and like the quick zoom in and quick zoom out was so that they could do like the green screen and have it look more realistic. So for anyone wondering, that's kind of why they did that. It's sort of a video trick to kind of do like quick zoom ins and stuff like that, so that the focus is on the CG character and the actual stuff still fits. It looks like it's still in there, so it would be out of focus, but it's still in focus. So I love the way they did that. It was a cool fight. S.H.I.E.L.D. holding her own in general against 4 enemies at once was really awesome. So that was a great fight. Mac was walking around like the big giant black guy with an axe and stuff, which was hilarious to me. But he's going around. He's like, oh, when he meets Gordon, that was probably one of the. I think that was the cheesiest moment, but it was also just kind of cool, and it was like super cheesy but super cool at the same time. And it's like, you're Gordon, right? He's like, yeah, who are you? It's just like, he didn't even look at him, and that's how 80s action movie it was. It was just like, I'm the guy who kills Gordon, and it was just so funny to me. It was like super cheesy. And then, of course, less than a second later, they end that scene with Gordon teleporting and just punching him in the back of the head, and then they cut to the next scene, and it just made it even funnier to me, where you have like this cheesy cool moment, and then you just get socked in the back of the head like, oh, and then it goes to the next scene in the episode. But I love the action. I was very surprised by how all this stuff took place, and some of the reveals they had about like Jiayang and Cal, and how he was basically manipulated all the time by Jiayang. Every time that he went crazy, it was actually her idea. And we find out in this episode that she doesn't actually heal the way we thought she did. It was like, oh, she heals and that's all there is to it. She siphons people off. And we actually only got to see that twice throughout the entire series, because she is dead. She's done for. And that was another big surprise. Like, they really only had her in 3-4 episodes, not counting, like the flashback stuff. And now she's dead. She became the villain, in these last couple episodes. Really, literally became the villain in the last 2 episodes. And I love the way they did it. I thought it was actually pretty amazing, because it ramps up to this crazy big fight in the finale and everything. And then it, everything concludes, and it leads straight into what Reina said for S.H.I.E.L.D, which was, you're going to become the leader. And Reina being killed off, that was a pretty big surprise to me. It kind of sucked, but it did show that she kind of concluded her journey. And when she mentioned that she and S.H.I.E.L.D would never speak again, I thought, well, maybe they would just never talk because they're going to have this crazy battle, and then, that's it. They're going to go their separate ways forever. But it was because she was going to die, and, she gets killed. S.H.I.E.L.D sees her mother do it, and that leads into a bunch of issues. one of the huge things that surprised me is how many people actually followed Jiayang's plan when they knew what the plan was. Like, I didn't think Gordon did that. I thought Gordon was seriously in it for his people. I thought he was a lot like Lincoln, where he would be a bit nicer. He would actually be a good guy instead of following behind Jiayang's plan just because she was the leader. I was very surprised by that. And he teleports in with, nameless guy, and they set up they set everyone up to think that S.H.I.E.L.D is attacking Afterlife. So I was really surprised by that. Of course, towards the end of the episode, the sort of 3-on-1 fight scene with Fitz, Mac, and Coulson going up against Gordon. Very surprising. Two really quick surprises in a row. One, of course, Gordon teleporting behind Fitz and teleporting into the back of the pole that Fitz was holding on to, so he basically killed himself. And then right after that, when he drops the crystal, Coulson catches it, and his arm, starts to, I guess, I don't want to say get ashy. Excuse me. I don't want to say get ashy, but that's what happens. Get ashy like ash, like dust, and they pull a move that was pretty intense and unexpected, and it's like super dramatic, and it's crawling up his hand real slow, and here comes an axe, just boom, and chops it right off. Max saves his life. When I saw that happen, I was super shocked, because it's like it broke slightly in his hand, so it's about to change him, and then his hand gets chopped off, and the first thing I thought was, this is not The Walking Dead. They can't like just chop people's limbs off and stuff, and it made me think of Rick, which is really funny. If you read the comics, then you know what I'm talking about. But it was just a cool moment. Now he's gonna have, I have to assume he's gonna get a robot hand in the future episode. He was talking about how he was working on some stuff. I really think his idea is gonna be to somehow get some Stark tech and get like a robot hand or something for season 3, or maybe, I don't really know, but he said he was working on some options. Maybe we'll see him with a cool robot hand. I doubt he'll have like some Iron Man hands and just start shooting repulsor beams or anything. But I was really surprised by that. It's going to be a physical change for his character. He's going to have a lot to deal with now as the director with this new team dynamic. Mac decided to stay on, so now he's in charge of all the alien artifacts because he's the one who's most cautious against them. May's left, at least temporarily. Bobby and Hunter is still on. It was great to see that both of them did end up surviving. I figured Hunter wouldn't get killed, but it was sort of touch and go with Bobby, because she did, like any TV person, it's like, that's right near her heart. So it was like, kind of right through her. But it was a cool scene. I love the way that played out. Of course, what they did with Ward, I think is, aside from that very last scene, that is my favorite ending, or my favorite little nugget, from this episode leading into the next season, because it was like they have the whole fight happening. May does her little plan, and Kara's like, all right, well, I'll use her face because I'll trick everybody. And Ward, his whole thing was like, I'm gonna take down May. No words, no nothing. He shoots her like 3-4 times, and he finds out it's her, and he's devastated. And I love the parallels for that too, because honestly, I thought they were gonna kill Bobby because of that scene, because it was gonna be Hunter was watching Bobby die, and they were like the good guys, and then we would also see Ward watching Kara die, and they would be, it would be like the polar opposites, and those would be the parallels, like the good loss and the bad loss. And it would be shocking with Ward like it was, but it would be really sad and devastating, because we actually like Bobby as a good guy, and she's one of the, good characters. So I was really freaked out. Like, they're doing this sort of parallel thing where we watch this guy lose his girlfriend, and this guy lose his girlfriend, but fortunately, we did see Bobby survive by the end of this episode, and Ward doesn't exactly have that, and he's taking over. He's gonna be the head of Hydra now, which really shocked me. I was very surprised by that. The guy gives him the paper. Initially, I thought they were coming in because it was just someone knew who Ward was and they wanted to recruit him, but he's looking for names of, he gets names of people from Hydra, all of which have been killed off. So he's now the head. It's like, and I knew that's where they were leading, and of course they had the guy flat out say it, like, there's no head, so that means no one's in charge. So he kills that guy, and it's like, obviously now I'm in charge, so he's leading Hydra now. He wants to rebuild this team and get what he considers closure. He wanted it for Kara. The torture scene was pretty interesting when they first did it, where they were like driving. He was driving like the needle into Bobby's fingers. Always gross on TV when I see that stuff happen. It always kind of gets me a little bit. So that was cool. Bobby was super badass in that scene, by the way, when she broke out of that, and she just, like, she breaks out, slams his head down with the thing still in her fingers. Then she just rips him out like these are done and stabs him in the neck. And then she goes on to have like a full on fight scene. I would have been like, I'm done. Like, I got these things in my fingers and stuff. She fights him. Then Kara comes in. She fights both of them. She loses, of course, but that was just a crazy fight. And I thought she would win, especially when she kicked Ward through the window. But of course, S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, so he was still up. I was like, I thought he was knocked out. I was like, oh, she won the fight. That was pretty sweet. And I was like, nope, he's still up, and they're still fighting. So really badass moment for her character. She's had a ton of them, but I think that was without a doubt my favorite. She had 3 needles like jammed under her fingernails, and she just took them out, and then had like a full 5-minute fight scene. And by the end of it, was fighting 2 people at once. So definitely a great moment for her character. Cal in this episode was unbelievable. Like the reveals they did with Jiayang and how he was actually a good guy, and him reaching like the point that he'd been searching for this whole time with his super serum. And we got like a little nod to Captain America and stuff, and how every experiment since Captain America always fails, which is a big thing in the Marvel universe. Of course, that's how we have Hulk, for anyone who doesn't know that already. But it was really cool. Like, he has that. I was glad that changed by the end, because I was like, I hope they don't keep like the makeup on him, and he's like got like the crazy jaw and like the so he had like a Neanderthal thing going on with like the super thick head where it came out like, and his eyes were like totally covered up. But it was cool. Like, he was going crazy, and then it was him and Coulson, and they had to really talk it out. Like, Coulson's like, I want to protect Sky. We have to make this work. Like, you've been manipulated. You were manipulated before because you wanted to protect your family. And that's when Cal kind of reveals to Coulson, like, she used to be nice and she had a great heart, but it was ripped out. And I just thought that was so well done. It was a great scene where he just deals with the struggle of wanting to be this great family man and wanting to bring his family together and keep it together and protect his daughter. And that was like the whole thing throughout this episode. Throughout his entire character, that's all it was. It didn't seem that way in the beginning, of course, because he was just the crazy character. But I think this episode was great for him, and I love the way they played it, where he ends up working with Coulson, and by the end, in order to keep his promise to protect his daughter, he has to kill his wife, and he crushes her in his arms, and it was just a great scene for like all 3 of them. Really, like, that whole moment was great. Like, it's like mother versus daughter, and Jiayang is siphoning Sky's life force, basically, and Sky is able to break free, and she pushes the crystals into the water, which, of course, we find out by the end of this, fish oil pills bad for you now, so don't do that. But that was crazy, and then, Cal had to kill her. I thought for, like, a quick second, after they did the little scene with Gordon when he was killed, they went back to Sky and her mom. When she turned her neck like that, I thought she snapped her neck for a second. Or it was after they chopped Coulson's hand off. It was like his hand gets chopped off, and I thought she snapped Sky's neck. I was like really freaked out for a second. But it was just a great way to end that for Cal, and I thought it was just cool that he had to deal with it. That was the way he saved his daughter. It was like he had to finally realize how evil his wife truly was, and he had to kill her off. And it was kind of sad that they wiped his memory to me. It was like he had like the whole thing going. It was like he has like a veterinarian shop and everything, or a veterinarian clinic. I know I said shop, but they had, and as soon as they showed Sky and it was like as soon as they showed her back, I instantly knew like, oh, they wiped his memory, and it was just like really sad to me that they wiped his memory and that he wouldn't be in the show anymore. Because I thought it would have been great to have him in season 3 after everything that's happened, and he's dealt with a lot of the issues, or at least tried to. He worked through a ton of stuff in this episode alone. So I was really excited when he was leaving, like, this is goodbye for now. And I was like, this will be cool. He can come back in the next season, maybe not as a recurring character, but he could come back and it'll be fine. And then, they did the clinic thing. It's like, oh, they wiped his memory for him, and now he's off doing his own thing, and he's just living a happy life, and Sky can kind of drop in and out as she wants to. But it was like a sad little, it was sort of I can't think, like a bittersweet ending. That's what it is. And it was kind of happy because he's able to forget the fact that he had to kill his own wife to keep his promise to protect his daughter, and all the years leading up to that. But of course, at the same time, with that resolution, it was ultimately kind of wiped away, after he finally had it, and now Sky has to just live with that. Like, this is just who he is now. So it was a bittersweet ending for Cal's character, but I definitely loved it. Um, it was just a great season finale. I definitely enjoyed it. And then we have Fitz and Simmons, and they had their little moment earlier on in the episode, them talking about the relationship stuff, and I completely forgot about that. Like, to be totally honest, I forgot that even happened in the last season, like 100%, until Simmons brought it up, and I was like, oh yeah, like I forgot that was a thing, because this whole season was just, as far as I was concerned, it was solely like Fitz dealing with the mental issues that he had because of Ward, and I forgot about the whole love dynamic between them that sort of happened but didn't really, because Simmons kind of blew it off. So she brings it up, and then Fitz tries to fix it at the end. And I knew he did something when he was pushing the thing, because they made like sort of a gas releasing sound. It was like like something opened up that hadn't been opened in like 100 million years, when the smoke like comes out and all that. And I was wondering what they were gonna do with that. And then of course she goes to push it, and it's during like the tidal wave mode. Like, I don't even know what to call it, because I love the way they did the obelisk, or whatever they're gonna call it. I guess a monument more than an obelisk, but I love the way it would be solid and then just sort of turn into water and then just form back up. I love the CG for that. I didn't mention it when they actually first showed it. I completely forgot about it. But I loved it. I think it looks cool when they show it like that. Like they did it in this episode too. And it's so simple. It's just like it's standing and then it melts for a second or two, is like crashing waves, and then it just forms right back up and it's fine. And it just looks really sweet. And that's exactly what happened. And unfortunately, this time someone's caught in that, and it was so fast that I didn't know what was gonna happen. It was even faster than I thought. It was like, she's hit with this wave, it's gonna absorb her or like cover over her. I thought that's how it would end, but the fact that it basically did exactly what it always does, where it splashes out for 1 second and just absorbs right back in, that made it even more shocking, because she screams and then she's gone in a second, and that was it. And it wasn't like it spread out or anything. Despite the fact that it was able to go beyond the case, it didn't separate. It went out and then it drew itself right back in like it always does. And because she was caught in that, it just sucked her right up. And who knows what's going to happen. Like, I have to assume that because it absorbed her, it's not going to be as simple as, oh, it falls apart again and there's, there she is. There's going to be something there. And I don't know if she's going to become superhuman, which was the really big thing that I thought was going to happen, because of how her character's transition as far as becoming more lethal and feeling that they need to really get rid of all of the threats. But it started with sort of the Inhumans and stuff. I really thought that's where they were taking it. And they still could, because this was obviously tied directly into the Inhumans, where it was this thought to be a myth, sort of an urban legend type thing, and we still don't really know what it is. It's dangerous to the Inhumans, but I have to assume that it could be dangerous to humans as well. So we'll see what ends up happening with that in season 3. It was a crazy shock ending. Much, it was just like one of the after credit scenes for the movies or something, where it's just like, oh, here's a cool thing. But this was just devastating shock. Like, she just gets sucked up in a split second, and it's like, well, Agent Carter and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. will come back next season, everybody, and we're done. So I'm incredibly excited for what we're gonna get for season 3. I don't really know what movies are gonna be tying in. I know we have Ant-Man. I think that might be the only tie-in movie that's really gonna be happening for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for season 3. But I'm definitely excited for it. I think this was a great season finale. Still have some of the other Inhumans. We still have, like, Lincoln is there. He's probably going to be like the pseudo leader for a little bit of time, so we'll get to see that happen in the next season, possibly. And then we have Coulson and, possibly a new arm. Sky working on a team of Inhumans. We have, obviously, Simmons being absorbed by this rock that turns into, like, crazy liquids and stuff. May's temporarily gone. Ward is the freaking new head of Hydra. So there's a lot to look forward to for season 3. I think this had great action. There are a couple of funny little moments here and there, like very little sprinkled in between, but mostly this is just a great drama action episode. Lots of crazy turns. Ward killing Kara by accident. Obviously the final end credits scene. Cal having to kill Jiayang. Jiayang being full on villain mode in this episode, and completely turning on her people and trying to lead them into this war just so that she can, kill off S.H.I.E.L.D. and destroy it. So there was a lot of great in this episode. I don't think there was really a missed opportunity, except maybe if they killed off Bobby just for the crazy shock value of it and it being really dramatic. Other than that, I think it was perfect. And I don't mind that Bobby survived at all, because I obviously didn't want her to die anyway. But I think that's the only thing that could have possibly changed, is if she did actually die and they did keep those parallels and they made sort of a Ward versus Hunter type thing for the next season. And I think if anything, they really ramped up the May versus Ward stuff, because that was his whole thing anyway. And now he's really going to be going for them. I mean, he's going to be the head of Hydra, so obviously he'll be going for everyone. But he's still going to have that focus driven straight down to May, and possibly still Bobby and Hunter, because the whole reason they were there was because of the stuff with Bobby. And we also found that out too, and it didn't end up being as bad as I thought it would be. And it kind of ended up being exactly what I figured. It was that she was in deep cover. She had to make a tough choice, and unfortunately Kara was in that safe house that Bobby sort of told Hydra about, and Kara was just taken, and that's when she unfortunately had to go through all of her crap. So it was just a natural progression due to sort of S.H.I.E.L.D. standards, which I do feel like Kara and Ward were kind of ignoring the fact that they were both, they were S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. That was what they did. That's kind of what they signed up to do. I mean, they've seen the Avengers. Doing spy stuff ain't that big of a deal anymore. I'm just saying. I mean, being brainwashed and doing stuff yourself, I understand it's a bit worse than just being on, Team S.H.I.E.L.D. But, I do think they were trying to take it a little too far with all the closure stuff. And it's like, she was doing her job. Unfortunately, Kara was just taken down as a part of that under, deep cover. But, I'm excited for season 3. Love this episode. Or both, or just this episode. I don't think they'll split it up later on or anything. So it's just one great big episode. But I want to know what you guys thought about this finale, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. Of course, I want to know what you guys think about the final scene that we got for the episode, with Simmons being absorbed by whatever we're going to end up calling this, like the giant obelisk or the small monument. I don't know. I guess giant obelisk works, but I'm assuming it's not a diviner, because it doesn't act like one in any way, shape, or form. So I'm sure they'll end up coming up with a totally different, special Marvel-style name for it. But I don't know what to think of that. I do hope that she ends up surviving it. If she does, I do have to assume she's gonna be changed in some way. Um, I also assume it's Kree related because it is a weapon against the Inhumans, and that was the point of the Inhumans, was that they were bred as weapons, and then the Kree decided, let's get rid of these guys. So this weapon could have been their extinction event. Like, we have this, it'll cast a net across the planet somehow or whatever, and it'll get rid of all of our, failed experiments. So she could become, and I think that would be a great lead in, for the next season where she does get mutated. But I think it'll be a bit of a mystery for the characters. I don't think they'll even figure out what happened to her for at least for like 3 or 4 episodes. They could do it in the first one though and just get right into it, which would be great because I'm assuming some time will have to have passed by the time we get to the next season. So it could actually be a couple of months, in between this finale and the premiere of season 4, or season 3, sorry. But I'm incredibly excited for it either way. Like I said, I want to know what you guys thought about this finale and what you guys want to see for the next season as far as just the show storylines, as well as possible tie-ins to the cinematic universe and everything else. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.